Hi, and welcome to Ageless Curiosity. In this video, we review our recent 7-night Canary Islands fly cruise on board P&O Azura. We'll be sharing our thoughts on everything from the cabin and delicious food and drink, to the exciting entertainment and unforgettable itinerary. So whether you're a seasoned cruiser or new to the world of cruising, we hope our review will give you valuable insights into what to expect on a P&O Azura cruise around the Canaries. For those of you who are new to the channel, we are Alison and Ian from the UK who have a passion for travel, particularly cruising and all it has to offer. Our channel is a record of our adventures around the world, capturing the beauty and diversity of the places we visit and the experiences we have. Feel free to check out our other videos, and if you haven't already done so, please consider hitting the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen to stay updated on our new content. Okay, so before we cover our thoughts on the cruise, let's give you some quick facts about the ship itself. Azura entered into service in 2010. She's a mid-size family ship with a maximum capacity of 3,597 passengers. She has 18 decks in total, and she currently spends the winter months in the Canaries and then the summer in the Mediterranean. Look out for our ship tour video where we'll cover Azura in greater detail. We've been on numerous cruises before. However, this was our first time experiencing a fly cruise package. For those not sure, the cost not only includes the cruise, but also your flight, hold luggage and transfers. We flew from Gatwick, which was one of a number of UK airports that you could fly from, and we flew with Jet2. As this was a charter flight, the check-in experience was slightly different. There was no ability to check in online in advance. Instead, upon arrival at the airport, we met the waiting P&O rep at the Jet2 desk, who confirmed documentation before we then checked in our luggage and received boarding passes. If you wanted to sit together or require particular seats, they can be pre-booked at an extra cost, though we didn't bother as it was a relatively short flight. When we arrived in Tenerife, we simply picked our luggage up from the carousel and then were met by the P&O rep, who directed us to one of the many coaches that took us to the port, which was a 45-minute journey. Having stored our luggage on the coach itself, we then didn't see our bags until they appeared outside the cabin later that day. This particular cruise starts and ends in Tenerife. As a result, embarkation takes place over 2 days, Friday and Saturday. Our flight was on a Saturday, which meant when we got to the port, the terminal was very quiet, as the majority of the passengers were already on board. This made for a very efficient experience. However, there are some downsides to arriving on a Saturday, which we'll cover later. Once on board, we watched the muster video in the cabin before then going to our muster station to have our cruise cards scanned. This is the first time we've had the chance to experience an inside cabin. We'd originally paid for a saver fare inside mid-forward cabin, but were pleasantly surprised when we got upgraded to a midship inside cabin. The condition of the cabin was excellent, but a little dated, although we could tell that it was well maintained. The bed can be made as either a double or twin and is very comfortable. If you are a family or a larger group, then there are other cabins available with fold-down beds from the ceiling. The walk-in wardrobe area has plenty of hanging space for long dresses, which is something that the newer P&O ships do not have. There is generous amount of space to store luggage, as well as a cupboard to the side which contains a decent amount of shelving and a safe. The bathroom, however, was a bit small, and the shower had a curtain, not a door, but it served its purpose. When we arrived, there was shampoo and conditioner from the White Company. You can also request conditioner and body lotion if required from your room steward, and they'll only be too pleased to assist. There were enough sockets in the room, but unfortunately they were situated by the desk, and there was no facility to charge your phone by the bed. The TV was on the small size, but did show the usual channels, including a view from the bow camera, a useful window to the outside world when staying in an inside cabin. If you are considering booking an inside cabin, then check out our video for a more in-depth review. In conclusion, this inside cabin was a great option in an effort to cut costs without impacting our experience if you're not planning to spend much time in your cabin. Don't be afraid to give it a try and see how it works for you. Why don't you let us know in the comments below whether you'd happily book an inside cabin or not? When it comes to food and drink on the ship, there are many options to choose from. The buffet is situated on deck 15 and is split into two areas. However, on our cruise, there was only one side open at any given time. Whether this was due to staffing or cost savings, we weren't certain. It opens at 6:30 a.m, which is an hour before the main dining rooms, and shuts at 1 a.m, although it is closed between 9:30 p.m. and 11 p.m. The serving area was pretty small and a poor layout. When busy, it was a struggle to avoid people with plates full of food. That said, when leaving the area, there was more than enough seating to be had, which was nice. The selection of food wasn't bad, and we regularly used it for breakfast and lunch, even late on in the evening. The labelling was particularly good, and better than we'd experienced on the likes of Princess and Celebrity. Apart from the general selection, there's afternoon tea between 3 and 5 p.m, and kids' afternoon tea from 5 p.m. Tea and coffee are available all day. There are 3 main dining rooms, otherwise known as MDRs. You may not be notified of your allocated dining type until you board, although some specific select fares can choose which option they would like at time of booking. The 2 types are set dining, which means 2 set sittings, one at 6:30 p.m. and the second at 8:30 p.m. And then freedom dining, which means you can either walk up and wait for a table or join a virtual queue via the P&O My Holiday app. The Oriental is set dining, and the other 2, Peninsula and Meridian, are freedom dining. We were assigned freedom dining and were aware of the chatter on social media about long waiting times. If you choose to share a table with other parties, you'll likely get seated quicker than if you request a table for just your group. Though when we cruised, we had no trouble obtaining a table for the 2 of us, although we do tend to eat early. All MDRs have the same menu, which consists of 3 courses and include a choice of dishes to cater for vegetarians, vegans and those with allergies. The food itself was good, though portion sizes do appear to have reduced somewhat from those we've experienced on previous cruises, though we can't say that's a bad thing for our waistlines. If we were hungry, then we could simply go up to the buffet. There are 4 speciality dining options on Azura, which will include a cover charge. Epicurean, which is £30 per person. Beach House, which serves a mixture of Caribbean and South American dishes, is £9.50 per person, with extra costs for some items on the menu. Sindhu, being contemporary Indian cuisine, and the Glass House, being more small plates and light bites, each have individually priced dishes. These all have to be booked in advance using the My Holiday app. However, availability isn't always guaranteed, as we found out. By joining the ship later than others, we found that the vast majority of tables had gone, though we managed to get a table for Sindhu and Glass House. The food in both was a level up on the MDR fare. Sindhu in particular is a favourite of ours, having already been in those on both Britannia and Iona. If we had to choose, Britannia has been the best to date, though the one on Azura isn't far behind. Glass House was also great, and the selection of wines and beers is part of the USP, as TV wine expert Ollie Smith has curated them to match the dishes. Aside from the restaurants, there are numerous bars to be found on board, from the Coral, Terrace and Aqua bars, all of which serve those outside on deck 15, and Breakers Bar, which is on deck 16. Inside, you have Brody's, which is the main pub-style bar on deck 6, which is a great place to watch any sports that may be on. Though be warned, it gets very busy, so get there early to find a seat. Planet Bar is a quieter affair and is situated at the very top of the ship and overlooks the aft. It's a lovely quiet space during the day to relax and read. We even saw some people asleep laid out on the couches. At night it's a great place to relax and listen to the resident pianist. Blue Bar is situated in the middle of the ship beside the atrium on deck 7, where you can sit and enjoy the buzz of the ship's beating heart whilst again listening to the piano music. It's here that we watch the captain's welcome, picking up our glasses of bubbly to toast with. There are 2 drinks packages available from P&O, the non-alcoholic at £19.95 per day and Ultimate Drinks Package £39.95 per day, though we didn't book either as you're allowed to take up to 1 litre per person on board when boarding. The kettle in the cabin and the tea-coffee available in the buffet were just fine for us as a whole, but when we ordered drinks they were reasonably priced and no different to UK pub prices. If you're interested in finding out whether the drinks package is right for you, we'd advise taking a look at cruisemummy.co.uk. See the link in the description below. There's plenty to keep you entertained, which is why we'd recommend scouring your daily horizon planner, which is left outside your cabin the evening before. The activities on board P&O Azura are extensive and there's always something for everyone. During the day there are a variety of things to do, ranging from enrichment talks in the Playhouse Theatre to dancing in the atrium or reading in the library. The gym is reasonably large with a lot of equipment, and even though a few years old, is perfectly respectable for those wishing to work out. There are regular quizzes held in Brodie's, where there is also a darts board and pool table. Talking of sports, should you so wish, you can practice your golf swing or shoot some hoops up on the sports deck. For families, there is a children's club and splash pad on deck 16. The onboard shops sell jewellery, clothes, souvenirs and duty-free goods. These are situated around the atrium on decks 5, 6 and 7. For those wishing to relax, there are the outdoor pools and lounges where you can get some sun and watch a film or take part in a music quiz. There's also an onboard spa with various treatments available to purchase. For the evening, the entertainment largely takes place in one of the 3 main venues. In the main theatre, the Playhouse, there will be 2 nightly performances at 8:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. with the guest performers, as well as P&O's very own Headliners Theatre Company staging their shows. You need to be mindful, however, that there is no performance on a Friday due to the new passengers coming on board. The performances we saw were excellent, and considering this is included in your fare, proved to be fantastic value for money. Malabar on deck 7 holds regular performances throughout the day and is themed on contemporary hotels in Mumbai. This is where we saw guest performer Rob West belt out some West End hits whilst entertaining the audience. We had seen him earlier in the week in the main Playhouse Theatre, and he certainly was a hit with the audience. For late night, Manhattan is the best place to be, and where resident band Pulse perform a variety of sets before the DJ then takes over. Pulse were the best resident band we've seen so far on a P&O ship to date. Well worth checking out. For those who enjoy a boogie, don't miss out on the silent disco out on the deck. Our departure from Madeira was certainly memorable. P&O still remain one of the most formal cruise lines, and unusually for a 7-night cruise, there are 2 formal nights, one on each of the sea days. The first formal night, Celebration Night, is on the Sunday, which included the captain's welcome, and where you get a free glass of bubbly, and the second was on the Tuesday. Both nights require guests to dress formally if they wish to dine in any of the main dining rooms or Epicurean. The same also applies if you wish to drink in either the Blue Bar or Planet Bar. For those who prefer to be more casual, the buffet, Sindhu or the Glass House are places where you can eat. There is also Brodie's for drinking, so don't feel as though you have to conform. The Canaries cruise rotates around a 2-week schedule, both of which start and end in Tenerife, where there is an overnight stop. You can do one or the other, or indeed both. It's entirely up to you. The only difference between the 2 is that 1 week you visit Gran Canaria and Lanzarote, and the other La Palma and Fuerteventura. Both, however, visit Madeira. We travelled on the Gran Canaria Lanzarote option and undertook a number of excursions that were very reasonably priced. We ventured up in cable cars, down in toboggans, as well as going underground in volcanic caves. There was so much to do. If you'd like to see what we got up to, then please check out our videos.
We just thought we'd end the video with some brief overall thoughts on the cruise itself, and I guess the best place to start is how we found the fly cruise experience.
Yeah, well, it was our first time doing a fly cruise, and it was so easy, so straightforward, really well organised. You're directed what to do. Your suitcases, when you land in Tenerife, you put on the coach and then you don't see them until you get to your cabin. And then even better on the return journey, you put them out the night before and then you don't see them until you land back in the UK and pick them off the carousel. So that's really straightforward, a real plus.
Yeah, it was so well organised, a well-oiled machine, that's for sure, and something we'd certainly consider again, I've no doubt.
Definitely.
Regarding the cabin itself, you probably agree with me in that it was a little dated, wasn't it?
It was, but it had been maintained, it was clean, that's so important, and it was comfortable. The bed was fantastic. I liked the style of the cabin with the walk-in wardrobe, bathroom a bit on the small side and a curtain by the shower, but it's absolutely fine, we managed.
Yeah, we had our concerns about whether or not an inside cabin would be right for us, but in this particular instance, I think, yeah, we had nothing to worry about, that's for sure. The ship itself, in general, I thought the entertainment was really good. I thought Pulse, the resident band, were probably the best resident band we've seen on a cruise to date. They were fantastic. Even though it was around 80% capacity, it didn't feel overcrowded. Part of that was because we were sailing around the Canaries and there was a lot of sun and people were out on deck. So don't worry about you know, the size of the ship being smaller than the bigger ships and it probably feeling a bit claustrophobic. It all depends on where you're going to be cruising at the end of the day. What were your thoughts on the food? Well,
food, you've got a lot of choices. You've got the included fare with the MDRs and the buffet. I thought the MDR was absolutely fine. You've got lots of choice. I don't eat meat, so there was quite a few options for me. Things were clearly labelled. Portions were a little bit less than we'd been used to, but that is not a problem. We don't eat that much food when we're not on a cruise, so it was fine that we didn't have the huge portions.
Yeah, well, you might not eat too much, but obviously I might partake a little more. Yeah, I would agree. And obviously, if you're going to be hungry after having sat down in the MDR, there's always the buffet as well. So I wouldn't worry too much about what you see on social media. You know, if you're hungry, you're going to eat. The one thing I would say about the buffet is that they only opened one half of it at any one time, whether or not that's due to staffing cuts or cost cutting, etc. It made things a little interesting when trying to go up and get your food, but there was plenty of seating available around.
It's just the layout, it's not very good.
No, it's the one part of the ship that's really showing its age.
Yeah.
But that said, the staff were fantastic.
Yes. As always, we've always found they're very good, work so hard. The cabin stewards now don't do a turn down service, but they have extra duties to do in the evening, so all credit to them, they work so hard. And yeah, fantastic service.
Yeah, I think we forget that whilst we're on holiday, it's a day job for the staff. So you know, we really appreciate them, don't we?
Definitely.
Okay, thoughts on the itinerary and the ports and the islands that we got to see.
Well, I think first of all, being the Canaries, it's warm in winter, and I think it was a fantastic option for us in the middle of our winter to go and get a bit of sun. So it was fantastic. A choice of different islands. I know Madeira is not a Canary island, but it does mean by going to it that you do get the 2 sea days, so a day up going to it and a day back. Plenty to do on the islands. We did a mixture of our own excursions and the P&O excursions, which I didn't think were overpriced.
No.
But you've got long days in the ports for some of them. 10 o'clock at night was the time that we set sail again. So if you did your own excursion, there wasn't the risk really of you not getting back. It was much easier to do that.
And obviously, as you would have seen earlier on in the video, there are 2 different weeks. So you've always got the flexibility of staying on for that second week to go to the 2 different islands, depending on which week you start with, obviously. Did you think that 2 full nights a week was a little too much?
I quite quite like the formal nights. It's fine for me. I know in some of the more, like Iona, there's only one formal night, but on the older ships, they still stick to the two. So I quite like dressing up. It's not...
Yeah, I'm just a scruff. I think we all know that I'm just a scruff and I struggle with it. But yeah, as we said in the video, if you're not into formal nights, you're not forced to do formal nights. You can just, you know, drift around the ship and do whatever you want. You just can't go into certain parts, you know, certain restaurants and bars without being dressed up.
Yeah, it's good to have the captain's speech though, the welcome. That was nice because we haven't experienced that before.
He was a bit of a comedian to be honest. Obviously, if you're on there 2 weeks, you might get bored of hearing the same jokes. You know. Otherwise, he might have a really good set. But yeah, he was really, really good. So he's well worth going to see when he does his welcome. Obviously, you get free bubbly as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And it was Neil Turnbull who was the captain for us.
Okay. So there are our thoughts, brief as they are, on the cruise itself. I guess the last thing to do is just give it a score out of 10.
Okay, well, I think it was incredible value for money, all that you got for the fare, which was £520 each, which works out about £75 per person per night. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I thought it was incredible value.
Wow, okay, I'll probably want a bit more bang for my buck, so I'm going to give it a 7, so perhaps we can compromise and agree on an 8.
Okay, that's fair enough. It was a dated ship, but old ship, but I still think it was, it was good value. 8's fair. Okay, go with that. So if you want to look out for our other videos, then you can see more detail about our experience.
Yeah, so what I would say is it's over to you now. If you have already been on Azura, already been on a Canaries cruise, leave some comments in below on how you felt the cruise was for yourself. Would you consider, if you haven't already, going in an inside cabin just to bring the price down on a cruise? And also, if you let us know what you think of this video itself and whether you'd like to see more reviews on this channel. And also, as always, please like and subscribe if you haven't. It's really quick and simple. Just click on that little icon in the bottom right hand corner. It won't cost you anything. It takes you a couple of seconds and it means the world to us. So until then,
stay curious.